Welcome to GIS 311 Lab X, preparing your storage device and creating a GIS 311 directory to hold everything related to GIS this term. I should note that this is a introductory to GIS course. This is Lab X, and that it's a preliminary step to working with GIS data. We've found that students sometimes come in not being familiar with the Windows operating system. So I've developed this lab as a refresher and a guide to correctly setting up and maintaining GIS data properly. Let me scroll back down to step 2. If you missed step 1, please feel free to, part 1, please feel free to view that video first prior to viewing this video. In this step, we will get started with your storage device. As noted in the description of this lab, data management is a fundamental skill that you must master and demonstrate prior to working with GIS data. GIS applications are data intensive, often including many gigabytes of files. GIS applications require a well-structured and uncluttered file storage system in order to function properly. This lab will guide you through the specific processes that must be mastered immediately. This lab and the directions herein will serve as a handy reminder as necessary as you complete the remaining labs this quarter and beyond. Your storage device could be a new USB thumb drive, a different external drive connected via USB-A or USB-C, which is much faster, or your internal hard drive. This is a decision or choice based on how you will be participating in GIS 311 this term. If working in the computer lab on campus, you'll likely be working off an external storage device. If you have ArcGIS Desktop, ArcMap, Catalog, etc. on your own or a borrowed computer, you will likely be using your internal hard drive, but you could also use an external drive. If due to COVID-19, for example, and classes remote, you would and will be using the Big IP VPN provided by the University of Washington and logging into the computer labs remotely, connecting to one of the computers within the lab, and likely using a USB thumb drive or other external drive that you'll connect to your home computer but can be read off of the computer that's sitting in the lab while you're in the comfort and safety of your own home. Ultimately, students must store and save their work into what will be titled a GIS directory on either an internal hard drive within the computer or an external hard or thumb drive. In addition, it is highly recommended that students use at least one 32 gigabyte minimum thumb drive for backup, as well as cloud storage, backing up their work every day. Note, if you're using an external thumb drive or hard drive via USB, insert it into your computer and wait for it to be recognized. And I'm going to attempt to do that now. And this is happening in real time. You may have heard it click. And the drive did not show up. It is not showing on this PC. I'll click on PC, this PC. So what I'm going to do, and this is a good example because sometimes things don't work exactly as they should. I'm going to eject the drive. And you can't see me, but over in the bottom right of my computer, I'm ejecting the drive. And now I'll try to reinsert it. Windows says that it's unable to stop the device. That's okay. I'll try again. And if it doesn't work, I'll just continue using my hard drive. There. Now this time it is connected. Notice that GWL GIS E is showing up on my computer, and these are not in the specific directions because I'm recording this live, but just make a note that the first time I tried this, it didn't work. The second time, after trying to eject it and plugging it back in, the drive did show up under this PC. So I just wanted to make a note of that. And if I click on it, you can see that there is other information on this hard drive. For example, there's an old 311 Winter 2020 directory. That's one I created last quarter while preparing videos and creating demonstrations for this course. For now, I'm going to eject my thumb drive and run off of my internal hard drive because most of the screenshots in the lab directions are based off of a USB external drive. So doing the video with my internal drive will provide another example for students to look at the directions, but then also look at this video where two different formats are being used. You can't see this happening, but I'm clicking on a caret pointing up in the bottom right of my screen near my time and date. It says show hidden icons, and I'm just going to click on safely remove or eject the hardware, and I'm ejecting this USB. And notice it has disappeared from this list of the USB, from this PC, and I got a pop-up window in the bottom right corner of my screen. So now I can safely remove the hard drive. Let's go back to the directions. I have just completed this step. Right now it's listed as 611. If I'm using my internal hard drive, which I am, I'm just going to simply continue. For this step, I'm going to expand desktop or this PC or something similar in the navigation pane by clicking the right facing or east arrow as shown in this icon right here. When I click on it, it will expand and point to a down arrow and be a down arrow pointing south. Let me bring in Windows, and here is this PC. I'm clicking it from an east pointing window, and notice I must hover to make those icons show up. And now I have expanded my what is called this PC. And this portion is very important. From now on, with these directions, I will refer to my external hard drive, USB, or internal hard drive where you or I, in saving files as a storage device, or your storage device, or my storage device. The images herein were primarily created with a USB thumb drive, but it could very easily be an internal hard drive, which I'm going to demonstrate on the video, with different letters, C, D, E, F, or others. Could be G. Or different external storage devices with a different letter. The challenge is to figure out what your system requires or situation requires. Everyone's will be a little different. I'm going to click on my storage device in the navigation pane under desktop. The directions are a little bit different than what I'm going to talk through because again I'm going off of my internal hard drive. Here's the picture. This is me using an external hard drive, but I am going to bring in my Windows device and I'm going to click on my data. Data in this instance is my second internal hard drive. Notice I have two. I have one called Windows, and that's my C drive. That's where most of my applications are stored. And my data, D, is where all of my data is stored. I keep things separate on my PC. You may just have a C drive that's internal, which is perfectly fine. Following the directions, I'm going to expand my storage device by clicking the east pointing arrow, which is right here, and opening it. So I'm expanding it and the arrow goes south. If there are other folders or files on the drive, it may look similar. And I have 4 items. I have a Dropbox, I have a Panopto recorder, some scripts, and then a complete folder with almost everything else that I do. and that was transferred from my previous computer. In the directions, there's some explanation of the contents looking similar, and in this case D has 4 folders listed, and also up in this area D has 4 folders listed. This information is the same as this information because of this file path, this PC and data, this PC and data. Your drive may have a space in the name. If this is an external drive, you may wish to right now click on this PC, go to your drive and rename it by going to Properties and attempting to rename. If the disk is completely new, it's a new USB, you may wish to format it, and you can look up how to format in other areas. It would be good to fix it if, for example, this, instead of data, it said something that has 2 words separated by a space. I'm not going to change mine now because data is working, but just take note you may want to change it if there is a space and if you can do it. If not, work with me and we'll get a way to fix it if you end up having problems. I'm moving on to item number 7. GIS data is very difficult to manage, partially because each GIS file can be in reality 9 different files all within the same name. It is important to follow proper GIS data management protocols in this and all future GIS courses at UWT. In this step, you will create a new directory, and I'm going to bring the directions back down here. You're going to create a new GIS 311 QQ, which is the current quarter, 20, and then the date directory on the root of your storage device. You will do so using the directions below. By the way, root is the root of the drive itself. Think of it as the file cabinet that stores your hanging file folders. I will refer to this directory as your GIS 311 directory from now on. Please realize that this means GIS underscore 311 underscore QQ for the quarter underscore 2000 something for the date directory. There should never ever be spaces or funky characters in any GIS file or folder name ever. We use underscores to separate words and dates to make the file and folder names easier to read. The reasons for this are simple. Spaces and funky characters do not work in GIS. Even if your storage device name has a space, it will likely cause errors. Never use spaces. There are 2 ways to create this directory. One way is to right-click, New Folder. Another way, and again I was in the details pane, another way is to right-click over in under the drive name or my storage device, New Folder. There are 2 ways. There's also a button method. If you've set it up like I have and you have the new folder checked, you may turn that on now if you'd like. This icon is how to create a new folder, and because I am in this PC data, clicking on that new folder will create a new folder. Now in this case, I'm creating a new folder in the root of my hard drive. Now that my folder has been created, I can click on it slowly and highlight the title, in my case dark blue. And here is where I'm going to enter GIS underscore 311 quarter, and this happens to be spring. The year is 2020, and I'm going to give it the name directory. This folder or directory will house everything related to GIS 311 in spring of 2020. Let's open the empty directory. There is nothing in it. And notice that the directory is in data, the root of my PC or this PC. This space right here does not matter. This problem would be here or here. The next step is to create a GIS 311 Helpful Files folder using one of the methods to create a new folder. I'm simply going to right-click, create a new folder, and immediately name it GIS_311 Helpful Files within the GIS 311 Spring 2020 directory, and click outside of the folder name. Create another folder using whatever method you like. I'll do a third method, creating a new folder, clicking on it slowly again, and this time calling it GIS 311 Labs within my Spring 2020 directory. Notice that everything is within my directory. To verify everything is going okay, I'm going to click on my directory in the left-hand pane. The directory is showing up in this bar, and here are my two new folders within my GIS directory. To create maps in GIS, we need data. For many labs, I will provide some data for the lab. In some labs, students will find and download data on their own. Most data arrives as a zip file, which is a brand name of a compressed file. It is important for you to properly extract zipped compressed files efficiently within seconds, not hours. We will all use the exact same processes in the beginning so that we're all speaking the same language. To make sure you learn the proper procedures to download from Canvas, we'll practice with some non-GIS data first in this step. For example, you will now download some regular files from Canvas into specific folders of your new directory. Within Mozilla Firefox, which I have open right now in front of you, I'm going to locate within modules week 0. Here's week 0, and I'm going to expand it. I'm going to try to find within the week 0 overview, and I should open that in a new tab. So I'm going to click the back button and open week 0 overview in a new tab. I'm going to find any PDF or docx to download. So here is a docx, the very first one. I'm going to click on the button, which is the document or the link. I'm going to save the file and click OK. And from here, I'm going to locate my helpful files of my directory within the root of my folder, and save it within this folder. For practice, I'll download 2 more. I'm going to download this PDF by clicking on it, save, clicking OK, ensuring that it is going to my helpful files. This is where that file will be deposited and saved. Now I have a second. The directions specify I need a third. I'll click this PDF, save the file, and store it. And it looks like there's only one there, but it's only showing me PDFs right now. There is another Word file in there, and we'll see that in a moment. For some more practice, we'll go to week 1. And those of you that do not have these modules, you could just download any files you find on the internet. And in this case, we're downloading docx and PDFs. I'm going to go to day 1 and look at the day 1 overview, since I've already expanded it. I've opened it in a new tab, and there's more information to read. You can pause and read it if you'd like, or just navigate down to the 4 additional files. And these 4 files should be downloaded into the same helpful files folder. So I'm going to do that on my own. You can pause the video while you download all of those. But I'm just going to click, save the file, click, save the file. After downing all the files, and there should be 7 by now, we're going to look into our directory. I'll go to my directory, click on Helpful Files, and I'll just sort by date modified. And they're all very similar. This was done on April 4th, and they're all within the same time frame. Notice that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different files. 4, the last 4 that we got from day 1, and then the initial 3 that were practice. You can also sort them in ascending order or descending by clicking. You should also verify that you're looking at the details pane. Yours may look different than mine at this point. So go to View and make sure that you have the details pane showing. We don't want extra large icons, we want the details pane. Now that we've downloaded the files, let's go back to the directions. In almost all labs of GIS 311, students will be required to create a write-up document consisting of a Microsoft Word doc, DOCX, in which they answer questions and paste or insert images and screenshots to verify that they've completed the steps of the lab properly. It is important that you follow the required format in order to earn maximum points. You will now begin to create your Lab X write-up document using Microsoft Word. All labs will have a write-up component of some sort that you will complete. In some cases, you will use your write-up to complete an online quiz. In other cases, you will upload your write-up document directly to Canvas via Dropbox. All write-ups have a rubric indicating the number of points earned in the assignment for each item. In this scenario, you're completing a written write-up that you'll submit at the end of the lab. Begin by opening Microsoft Word. I already have Word open, so I'm going to open a new document. And here is my new document. Right now it's called Document 1. The directions indicate to list my name at the top of the page and my UW user ID. So in this case, I'll just type Gregory Lund and my user ID. I like to show paragraph marks, which is sometimes annoying for students, but this helps me know why there are spaces in my document. So for this write-up, I'm going to keep them in there to help me explain why I use them. I should now navigate to the screen such that File Explorer is showing the last item we sorted, GIS Helpful Files, and I'm going to create a simple screenshot of the entire screen. You can do so on your own or using the directions below. So I'll go back to my view. I'm going to sort ascending and then take a screenshot. And that's taken by using the print screen button that's on your computer. Sometimes you must press a function key to get the print screen to work. Mine will work a little bit differently, but the process is very similar. This is a new, this is Dropbox, so I'm going to just, a Dropbox button popped up. I'm going to try again, print screen, and an image was taken. I'm hoping that it was of the proper screen. We'll see what happens. When I clicked the print screen button, it did not appear that anything happened, but something likely did. My computer copied an image of the entire screen to something called a clipboard, which is stored in your computer's RAM, random access memory. I can now paste this image into the Word document, and I'll do so in the next step. I'm going to type the number sign below my user ID. So I'll go back to my write-up, the number sign, and this prevents Word from automatically numbering things, the number sign and number 1 because this is the first answer. And now I am just going to press paste. I could use paste up here or I could use Control V. And in this case it did work. It took a complete screenshot of my entire computer. This isn't the most beautiful screenshot in the world. In fact, it included this recording, it included all of my screens and these directions, but it worked. All I need to do now is to minimize this image so that the number appears at the bottom left. I'll do so by using the minimize buttons or the dongles on the corners of the document so that I can scrunch it down so that number 1 appears at the bottom left. I can now make it a little bit bigger, being cautious to not drive this to the next line. I'm also going to change my layout by clicking on Layout, going to Margins, and changing my margins to 0.5 to give me more room. Now I can make the image a little bit bigger so it's easier for my instructor to see. I'll go to the right of the image, click Enter, and notice Word doesn't automatically number now, which is good because the automatic numbering can make this even more complicated. I'll now navigate back to my windows, and this time I'm just going to take a picture of the Windows area, so this helpful files, because I want to prove that I have these folders, these files within here, and in fact I can scrunch this up a little bit more to make it even more professional. Scroll down a bit so that I have my helpful files showing, and all of my files are showing. Notice it says 7 items and there are 7 items showing. In this case I'm going to use an extra keystroke instead of just function print screen on my computer, and it may be print screen for yours, but for mine I'm going to choose function. Well, first I'm going to highlight the folder I want, function alt print screen, and that didn't seem to work. We'll try alt function print screen and see what happens. I'll go back to my write-up. What I've done, hopefully, is taken a picture of just this window right here. We'll see. We'll go back to number 2 and paste this seemingly better image. Number 2, space, and Control V. And notice that I did get it, but there's these interesting characters in here. So I think what I'm going to do is try it one more time by minimizing, clicking on this folder, and just try an alt print screen and see if that worked. I'll go to my write-up. I'll take out this image with the extra characters in there by clicking delete and now Control V, and it still copied the same image. So we'll leave it. I did the step properly. I'll just minimize so that the 2 is at the bottom left. Click to the right near the paragraph mark and click Enter. I've aligned the number to the bottom left of the image. I'm now going to use the Snipping tool, which is an application within Windows to take a snip, which allows a much more precise selection. To find the Snipping tool, and this may be different for everybody, but down in the bottom left corner of my computer screen there's a search button. If you hover, it looks like a magnifying glass or a lollipop. If you click in that area and search for snipping, the snipping tool pops up. I click on the snipping tool and you may get this notification: try, snip, and sketch. It says that in the future the tool will be moving to a new home. In this case, I'm not going to try a new tool, I'm just going to create a new snip. In doing so, I'm just now going to take a random snip anywhere of the screen. In this one case, it doesn't have to be pretty. I just would like to have you try the snipping tool because it's the tool that we'll be using in the future. In future labs, you may want to start using the snip and sketch tool. I click on New. My screen goes gray, and hopefully that came out. And now I'll just take a snip of something in my screen, and of course I get this extra thing because it's Snagit. I'm going to delete that. You don't have that application. But here is my snip. It's not very pretty, but it is a snip, and that's what we're looking to do, is to try the snipping tool. In this case, I'm going to copy by Edit, Copy, or Control C, minimize, and then place it in my Writeup document, which is yet to be named. So this will be number 3, space, Control V, and notice that the document number is on the bottom left. In this case, I'm going to be a little bit, I'm going to tidy this up a bit. Click on Format, click on Crop, and crop this so that the number is at the very bottom of the image, and click Crop again. Click to the right of the image near the paragraph mark and click Enter. I have now completed a snip, and you'll be using the snip considerably throughout GIS 3.11 or the new tool Snip and Sketch. From here, I'll find the snipping tool and close. So to close it, I just click the X, and I'm going to say no, I don't need to save the snip. I'd like to also mention that there's no need to save this Writeup document yet, but you will very soon. And working forward in future labs, you'll likely save after each entry, starting with your name and your user ID, but then definitely after you've started with numbers with the questions that you answer. And to reiterate, you should be saving. This is just a special case. You do not yet know how to develop your lab folder, so we're just not saving this yet. If we all of a sudden lost everything, we've only lost 3 images. It's not as critical as if we were working on data within a lab. And this concludes the second step of LabX from GIS 3.11. We've started a Writeup document, and we've created the beginning of our directory as shown here in these screenshots. You can see that we've created the Spring GIS directory, we have a helpful files, and we have a labs folder. So we've got a great jump start on the lab of LabX. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you'll continue and move on to the third step of LabX in GIS 3.11. Thanks for watching.